Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And there are 4 things you can't do in life. 1, you can't tug on Superman's cape. 2, you can't spit in the wind. 3, you can't pull the mask on Lone Ranger. And 4, you can't mess around with Jim. Hello, how's everybody doing here on a Friday night? Day after Halloween. Hope everybody had a good Halloween. Those who had kids probably went out trick-or-treating. Got to dress up. I love seeing photos of people dressing up. I do love dressing up back in the day when I was younger. I do kind of miss that time period, but now as an adult, I just stay at home and, do whatever. Unfortunately, it's not a big holiday for me at this point in my life, but yeah, so I'm coming with you another deep dive. I haven't done any deep dives in a long time. I've got so many other projects going on at once. It's hard to get back, but I just thought today would be a good time to do one of my shorter deep dives. And so we're deep diving the great singer-songwriter Jim Croce, one of my favorite singer-songwriters of all time. I'm a huge fan of that 60s, 70s folk music period, as you probably well know. My channel, I talk a lot about them. I have a lot of their albums in my top 100 favorite list, in fact, as well. Anyway, so yeah, Jim Croce, someone I've always known growing up, always had a lot of hits on the radio, of course, when I listened to the oldie station. Always really enjoyed him, and as I got older, the more I listened to his actual albums, like all 3 albums that he really came out with, all really good. Like, he didn't make a bad album. Unfortunately, only made 3 because he died young in a tragic plane wreck, unfortunately. So we never got to get much Jim Croce. You only got a couple years of him. It's one of those big tragic losses that we got in the music business, which was like, man, what if he would have lived longer? How many more great albums and great music we would have gotten from him? But yeah, going on Jim Croce. Jim Croce was born January 10th, 1943 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I got 2 friends in YouTube that are from Pennsylvania, one from Philadelphia. So that's pretty cool having someone like that kind of from your home place. But yeah, grew up there in Pennsylvania. I don't have a lot about his growing up or anything, but he went to college in Villanova, which is a college there in Pennsylvania area, Philadelphia area. I know them because their basketball team has won like 3 championships. Yeah, it's a really good basketball team. But yeah, so that's interesting. He went to Villanova. That's where he kind of discovered he had the ability to sing, and he joined a singing group at Villanova, and they would, do concerts and stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know if it's a cappella or what, but yeah, so he kind of got involved in singing while he was in college there. He also worked as a disc jockey at college as well, anyway, so he was really into music at that point. He ended up graduating at Villanova with first he was majoring in psychology, but then switched to social studies. So he graduated in 1965 with a social studies degree. Anyways, after that time, he met his wife, Ingrid Jacobson, while he was judging a contest, because Ingrid also was a singer-songwriter as well. And so he was like judging a contest that she was singing in. And I guess he met her there, and they started talking and started dating and eventually got married. Anyway, so that's how they kind of started. Yeah, he really wanted to start. Both him and his wife were playing together. In fact, they played as a duo, and he, of course, wanted to be a full-time musician. He really thought he could do something with that. His wife's parents really wanted him to get a regular job and didn't think music was, he'd be able to make any money music. But for his wedding gift, they gave him enough money to make an album, which is funny. The reason why is because they thought, well, let's have him get out of the system. Let's give him the money. He can make his own album. And when the album fails, where they kind of expected it to fail, I guess, and he realizes he can't make money in music, maybe he'll give up this dream of being a full-time musician and go get a regular job. So that was kind of the scheme of his wife's parents anyways, which backfired on them because he did make an album called Facets in 1966. Now Facets isn't a big album or made a lot of money, but it did make money. He made his money back from what he paid into doing it. And like I said, it wasn't a major label or anything. I think he had to do it somewhat independently, get out there and sell it. But it sold enough. He did make a lot of money, but he made enough money that he kind of proven that, hey, I have something here. I can make money doing music. And so that's something he wanted to continue to pursue. So it's kind of funny that kind of backfired on the parents. Were like, dang it, like we're hoping he would fail and he would quit this music stuff. But no, it just, encouraged him to keep going on with the music, which good thing. It's one of those, not all times that works out, but this case actually worked out in the end for him. Interesting enough, you can say. But yeah, so he also enlisted in the National Guard during this time to avoid being drafted in the Vietnam War. So he spent some time in the National Guard. After he's done with that, like he went back to playing full-time music with his wife, Ingrid. At this point, they didn't have any kids or anything, but so they would travel around, I guess, Pennsylvania or whatever, and play in clubs and bars and stuff like that, and were good enough as a kind of folk duo to make money doing it that way. But still wanted to, pursue getting like a record deal and all that. Yeah, it says that they got a long-term gig at a bar and steakhouse in Lima, Pennsylvania. So they got a kind of a steady job there, I guess, playing music at this bar and steakhouse place. He had a friend that he graduated with in Villanova that he knew named Tommy West. And Tommy West went to New York City and became a record producer. And so he's talking to Tommy about, doing full-time music, and that's this thing he thought he can do and make money at. And so Tommy told him, you should move to New York City, and we can, get you a record deal or whatever, or you can try to get a record deal, or, give you some money to make another album. Anyways, and all that. So that's what they did. They ended up moving to New York City and making their second album, which is called Jim and Ingrid Croce. Is the name of the second album. So it's kind of a duo folk album with those two, which I've never heard that album, never heard Facets. And those, I don't know, it's funny. I don't really consider them part of his canon. I really feel like he has only 3 albums. I guess technically you can say he has 5 albums, but the first 2 albums were like these independent albums that didn't really sell. Don't have any big hits on them, of course. It's not until when we get to it, when he starts making his, he gets actually a good record deal and makes these really good albums with huge hits on them. Those are the ones I consider like his albums. So it's interesting. I never heard these, so I don't know if they're any good. But yeah, he made a second album. I don't think it didn't make any money really. Didn't have any like set hits on it and all that. And so he wasn't enjoying really. This is 1968. 1968, he's now in New York City with his wife, he made a record and he's playing around there, but really is not liking, like I said, don't feel like they're really succeeding there. And he's not really like living in New York. He's not, famously, he has a song, in fact, that's called New York's Not My Home, which you kind of understand when you read his backstory and go, oh, okay, he lived in New York. He's from Pennsylvania, though, and not that they're not that far apart, but for a reason, he didn't like living in New York, and that's why he wrote that song, New York's Not My Home, which is a great song, one of my favorite of his. So he was, they were feeling what they say is disillusioned by the music business, and I don't know, didn't like what was going on there, so he decided to move back to Pennsylvania, that he'd be happier living in Pennsylvania than living in New York City. Which I guess I can understand because New York City is a huge city. It's the biggest city like in the world. And yeah, I've never been there, but I can't imagine living there. It'd be a little hectic if you're not used to it. Though if he's from Philadelphia, he'd be used to somewhat of the big city, but New York's just another level altogether. So coming back, he had to get some jobs to pay, I guess he's feeling like the music thing wasn't working out at this point. So he actually ended up getting a lot of different jobs to try to make ends meet. Including truck driving, construction work were some of the main things. So very blue collar type work, I think it was kind of interesting part of his character that here he tried to make it in the music business. It seemed like it wasn't working out. He thought, oh, this isn't working out. And then he just got some regular blue collar jobs and we're doing that. He didn't really want to do that. His passion still was to do music. You know, I still really want to go to, but he had to do these, you know, jobs that he didn't like in order to just make ends meet. But things change in 1970. He gets introduced to a guitarist named Maury Muehlhausen, if I'm pronouncing his name right, through a producer named Joe Salviola. Again, I guess he has enough connections to the music business that this Joe Salviola producer knew this guitar player and said, "Hey, you guys should, you know, play together and see how you know, how you blend in together, you know, and all that." And man, this really, I think, changed things. I don't know about his wife, I guess, because his wife didn't play with him anymore, really, at this point. And he, but this partnership was really what made him so great and his music so great. I mean, Maury is such a great guitar player, and they both play acoustic guitars. Maury plays the lead, so he's playing a lot of these cool acoustic licks, like you play on an electric guitar, but he's playing on acoustic guitar. So you have these incredible guitar licks and stuff like that he's just playing along while I think Jim's playing mostly the rhythm and singing, of course. And so, yeah, they took it off right away. They started playing together, and man, they sounded great, I guess. And of course, Jim's writing all these different songs. And what's interesting about all the blue collar work is that he used a lot of the stuff that he did into his music. He wrote a lot of songs about being a blue collar worker, which was kind of interesting. So he kind of came from his experience there. Like I said, yeah, we'll get to some of that music that he made. So one of the things that really changed is then around this time, Ingrid gets pregnant. So now he's got a baby on the way. He's doing construction or truck driving, whatever, all these little jobs that he has to do. Not making a lot of money, but making enough to get by. And it felt like, man, if he doesn't try again to, you know, get a record deal, this might be his last chance. Because once, I think this feeling like once the kid comes along, then it's all about making money to, you know, provide for his wife and child. And so he thought, okay, I got one last chance to really try to make it in the music business. And it's like one of those do or dies, which is so interesting about his story. When you do research on him, it's like it felt like a real do or die time for him. Like if he didn't get a record deal at this time, you know, that might have been it. He might have just spent the rest of his time getting blue collar worker jobs, you know, and providing for his family. And maybe he plays at bars and stuff like that, but he maybe never would go after it again. But anyway, so he had thought, okay, I got one last chance. I'm going to make a demo tape. I'm going to send it to my friend Tommy in New York City, have him try to shop it around and try to get a record deal, you know. Luckily, he had some really good songs in his demo tape. At this point, he was a really good songwriter, great singer. Him and Maury, the guitar playing, so good. So they really found this great combination that really worked for him anyway. So obviously the demo worked. He sent it, Tommy liked it, and they end up getting signed on with ABC Records in 1972. So interesting that his first record in 1966. So now it's his real actual big record with a big record company in 72. So that's like 6 years. So he had 6 years of just failing, not really, music business wasn't doing what he wanted it to, really being probably disappointed for about 6 years, and then it hit. So it's one of those things where, man, you know, he could have quit at any time, but man, because he kept going, it eventually came out for him. His talent, hard work eventually came out. Anyways, and man, did he hit hard when he came in. Because I said he didn't come until 1972. He signed a 3-record contract with ABC Records, and he ended up releasing 2 albums in 1972, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I suppose he had all this music written up, you know, ready to go. He just needed someone to sign on with him. Once he signed on, he had enough music to really put him out. The 2 albums he put out is You Don't Mess Around with Jim and Life and Times. Now, I have this on CD, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. Man, really great album. Actually, my favorite album of his. It's got some of his biggest hits on here. Obviously, You Don't Mess With Jim was a big radio hit. Like I said, New York's Not My Home is on this album. Like I said, he wrote that from experience from being in New York. Really great song. Love that song. Photographs and Memories is an amazing song about, you know, looking at photographs and reminiscing about the past and nostalgia. I love those type of songs. And so this is one of the best songs about about that, looking at photographs and memories and, talking about the past. Anyways, really great. Walking Back to Georgia, not a hit song, but really great stuff there. Operator, That's Not the Way It Feels, another huge radio hit for him on this album. And this album has probably his most biggest hits on it, I would say, overall. But yeah, Operator, I mean, come on. The songwriting is so good about someone who's left him, and he's talking to the operator, and he wants to get a hold of this girl that left him. She moved to LA or something like that. And he's telling the story to the operator. And then at the end of the song, he's like, you know what? Forget it. I don't want her anymore. Thanks for listening to me. And that's the end of it. I don't know. It's written. It's amazing. Guitar playing again. Some of the best guitar playing I've heard. To the Mari Maltheisen's guitar playing. What he's playing along with Jim's rhythm. It is amazing. Love that song. And then you got Time in a Bottle. Another one of the greatest love songs I think ever written. Great. I love the acoustic guitar playing on that one as well. Really cool, that beginning part. And yeah, again, it's amazing lyrics about if I could stop time, if I could go back and do anything, I would spend all my time with you. And that's the whole song. It's like talking about, time just goes by so fast. And if I could just stop time and just spend time with you, that's what I would do. Oh, beautiful song. Love that one as well. And then you got like Rabid Boy, the Stock Car Boy. Again, a song that he kind of wrote from experience of being in, these blue collar type jobs. So he loves writing about stories. It's fun. He can write really great love songs, really nice ballads, but then he can write these kind of cool like acoustic rocker songs that are about telling a story about, somebody working a job, So it's kind of interesting his different styles that he would implement. Like I said, I think he got really popular because of that, because he really, the music I think really spoke to middle class, blue collar worker type people, because these are kind of songs that kind of represent them a little bit. So I think that was really cool. That's what really differentiated him amongst a lot of other singer songwriters, I would say. But yeah, so lots of great stuff. Definitely one. Like I said, I love all of his albums, but this one, oh man, so good. And then Life and Times is his other album, which I do have. Life and Times, which I do have on vinyl, which I actually got at a used record store anyway. So I got this, pretty good money. Still plays very well. Another solid album. I think the biggest, maybe the only big hit on here is Bad Bad Leroy Brown, which was another huge radio hit for him. That's not one of my favorite necessarily. It's a little more, I like his more slow ballads actually. His love ballads I think are really, really good, or, stuff like that. More than his upbeat rocker songs, I'm not as into, that's just me. But yeah, but there's some great stuff. One List of Footsteps, really good song. Dreaming Again, another beautiful song. Alabama Rain, great. Next Time, This Time, another favorite of mine as well. Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of hits on here, but still it's just a solid, I still really like that album. It's still a solid folk album if you like folk music. But yeah, he puts those two albums out. Like I said, he has tons of singles off of there. Most memorable, You Don't Mess Around Jim, Operator, Time at Bottle. And Time at Bottle, it has an interesting story behind that as well. I guess I'll get into here a little bit. But anyways, yeah, so he put out those two albums in 1972. Both do well, had top 10 hits with those songs. So he, it's a great success for him. He made it into the music business. He's getting offers, to go on shows and stuff like that, and to go on tour. And he's starting to make some money. So now he doesn't have to do blue collar work anymore. He got to quit all those jobs and just go, all right, I'm a full-time musician, which is really, really great for him. I'm like very happy because he seems like a really nice, amongst a lot of the stories, it's funny, so many, stories of musicians that you read, watch documentaries or whatever, so much, drug addictions, alcohol addictions, lots of, divorce, lots of infighting, lots of issues going on, So this is one of those nice stories where it's like, man, it's nice to read or research somebody that seemed like a really nice guy, good family man, wife, child, all they want to do is provide for them. and yeah, so no bad addictions or problems, no scandals in his life. Yeah, it's a really nice thing about him, in my opinion. So yeah, after this, they end up moving to San Diego, I guess. I guess that's where you move to when you do music. Usually that's the entertainment area, uh, Hollywood and all that. But yeah, so then him and Mari were touring all over the United States, and they were appearing on shows like American Bandstand, The Tonight Show, and The Dick Cavett Show. So, I mean, the biggest shows at the time. And you can go on YouTube and see them playing live on these different shows, which is really cool. They sound really great on these live shows anyways, which is really cool. So yeah, coming in 1973, he then comes out with a third album. Before the album even comes out, though, he goes on a tour in Europe. First time him and Mari. I suppose they have a backing band, but it's Jim Croce. He's a solo act, but Mari is definitely his partner in crime, I guess, in a sense. And there's probably some other people but the only people I really know about is him and Mari. But yeah, so sometimes I think it's just them two playing. A lot of times if you watch clips of them, it's just them two. I don't know if they even have a backing band a lot of times because they sound so good together, just the two of them. But anyway, so they go to Europe to promote their third album that was coming out, which is called I Got a Name, which I don't have that album. I need to get that one. It's another good album. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't talk about all the music on there, unfortunately. But I should say, Bad Bad Leroy Brown became a #1 hit for him, and I want to say, yeah, it was the only #1 hit he really had while he was alive, and he had another, I believe, #1 hit after he died, if I remember right. But yeah, Bad Bad Leroy Brown. So again, it's like not a favorite song of mine, but very popular, hit #1 hit there. But he had some other hit songs like Working at the Car Wash Blues, which again, another great, song about, blue collar working, I keep saying blue collar. I'm sorry. I keep repeating that, but I guess I don't have another word for it, but yeah, just that, hardworking, person. And then probably the best song on the album is I'll Have to Say I Love You in a Song, which went #9 on the chart. So another absolutely fantastic song, another great love song. Absolutely love that song as well. Anyway, so yeah, those are kind of the big songs on the album. But yeah, they're traveling through Europe. Actually, they're on their way to Europe. Actually, I don't think they even got to Europe because, unfortunately, like I said, him and Mari would both die in a plane crash leaving Louisiana. So they're actually still in the United States. So my guess is they didn't even make it in Europe. I guess I didn't have that written down, that part, but I have written down that they died in Louisiana. So, but this was September 20th, 1973. So he was only 30 years old. I mean, 30 years old. I'm 41. So, I mean, gosh, that's so young. And like I said, he just made his first album in 72, really, of this, starting this big success of his, and then dies in 73. So only had, 2 years or less than 2 years of success before he died, which is, gosh, it's so sad. Plus, obviously, his daughter or son, whatever, his child was very young when he died. So that really, it's a real bummer as well. Yeah, it just sucks. Like I said, he's such a nice guy, had, no issues. He was just beginning to get success after working hard for so long. Man, it sucks, that he died so young, so early in his career. It's kind of up there with, like Buddy Holly, people like that, where it's like, wow, they died so young in their career. And we missed out on so much great music, man. It's like, man, what if he would have lived longer, you never know. But yeah, so very sad plane crash. I'm trying to think. I think I remember reading about, like, I think it was definitely the fault of the pilot, like it was foggy or something, and he couldn't see very well, but they probably shouldn't have gone on, probably should have delayed, but he went along. And so it's like totally like the, pilot's type, error, which unfortunately happens on these like smaller planes that they're traveling with. Yeah, so man, it really sucks. Died early, and he died right before his album came out. So then A Guy Named came out, and so man, obviously it was a big hit album because he just passed away and all that. And it's another really good album that I need to get at some point. And here's the interesting story I remember reading about. Is Time in the Bottle was a hit song, but I don't know what it charted, but it wasn't a #1 hit for him at the time. But actually, I don't think it was a single. I almost want to say it wasn't a single that came out on the album. And then after he died, all his fans said, hey, put out Time in the Bottle as a #1, because Time in the Bottle just seemed like it really fit perfectly with his death, you know, because in Time in the Bottle, talking about, you know, time just goes by so fast, and I wish I could stop time and just spend them with you, and talking about, you know, kind of the past. I don't know, it's just this really emotional, you know, very well-written song that really, I don't know, it was just a perfect song, you know, to remember him by. So I think they kind of was a push by the fans that to put that album, or put that song out as a single. So they ended up putting out, after he died, they put out Time in a Bottle as a single, and it went #1, I believe, if I remember. I didn't write it down, but my memory of researching is that it did go #1 after he died, which was really cool. That's a great, you know, song to his legacy, I think, and all that. But man, I can't say enough. I love Jim Croce. He's one of my top singer-songwriters of all time. You know, for me, you know, I love John Denver. Bob Dylan, obviously, is one of the greats. And he'd be right there. He might be my second favorite behind John Denver, to be honest. And it's crazy because he only made 3 albums, you know, and still, but in those 3 albums, he has so many great songs, so many to discover on there, like I said. And all 3 albums, I recommend all 3 personally. If I would to, I think, to rank them, definitely, this is my favorite album of his. And you'll see on my top 100 favorite albums list, it's really high. I give this album a 10 out of 10. It's one of the most perfect albums I've listened to, where no bad songs, and you got some of my favorite songs on the album with New York's Not My Home, Photographs and Memories, Operator, Time in a Bottle. Those 4 right there are like probably my top 10 favorite Jim Croce songs. I mean, some amazing stuff. Yeah, I can't say enough. Definitely check this album out, or get this one. It's just so amazing. That's definitely my favorite. It's funny, I don't know, I probably put this second. Like I said, not a lot of big hits, but still a solid album maybe. And then third, I got Name. Or I can switch those 2 out. It's hard to tell. Those 2 are around the same. They're both 9 out of 10 albums. I would give them both like a 9 out of 10 as a rank anyways. But like I said, all 3 solid, really, really great albums. Some of the best songwriting you're ever gonna, and singing you're ever gonna. I love his voice. I don't know if I said enough. He has an amazing voice. Love his tone and everything. It's absolutely amazing. And then you compare that with the amazing guitar playing and the amazing songwriting on a lot of these songs. Yeah, definitely one of my top artists of our time. Another thing I would recommend checking out is this Greatest Hits album called Photographs and Memories, his Greatest Hits, that I got, I think at Walmart maybe. But yeah, you got stuff like Bad Bad, Lee Ray Brown, like I said, was #1 hit. Operator, That's Not the Way It Feels. Yeah, one of his biggest hits. Photographs and Memories. I don't know if that was a hit song, but it should be. It is amazing. One of my favorite. And songwriting is so good. But Rapid Boy, The Stock Car Boy, like I said, it was kind of a popular, more upbeat song for him. Time in a Bottle, like I mentioned, amazing. New York's Not My Home is great. Working the Car Wash Blues, I Got a Name. It's also the title of the album. That's also a great song as well. I'll have to say I Love You, the song, which came off of that album. You Don't Mess Around with Jim, another really big, which I quoted some of the lyrics at the beginning, at the intro of my video. Lover's Cross. Lover's Cross is a really good song. That must be off the 3rd album. That's another excellent song. I love that song. One less set of footsteps is on here, which I mentioned is one of my favorite songs off of Life and Times. Yeah, These Dreams, and then Roller Derby Queen, another kind of upbeat song anyways. But yeah, really good one if you just want to get some of his best stuff. This definitely has some of my favorite songs on it. But yeah, that's what I have to say for Jim Croce. I will do a top 10 favorite songs probably, hopefully in another week or so. And yeah, I'll talk more about him on top 100 favorite albums list when I get to his albums anyways. But besides that, feel free to comment. What do you think about Jim Croce? Do you have a favorite album, favorite song, favorite memory? Love to read anything you have about Jim Croce, and hopefully some of you love him as much as I do. Anyways, besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate you all. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend.